Hi, John. It's good to see you.
Hey, Sean, good seeing you.
What is on your mind this week?
I read a really interesting study this morning that I wanted to share with you, and it
Great.
was in the journal Cell. I'm going to look it up here. The name of it's Inner Speech and Motor Cortex and Implications for Speech Neuropathies. So it was by Aaron Kuntz and colleagues out of Stanford.
Okay.
And what they did is they used BCI, which is brain computer interface, a brain computer interface to look at speech to help people who cannot speak to help them speak. So there are conditions where people are paraplegic, whether it's ALS or different diseases where they
Okay.
cannot speak or communicate. And what has been happening over the years is they've been developing these brain computer interfaces that allow that they implant in the brain and allow a person to communicate through thinking. And originally it started with eye tracking, so they would look at different letters to spell out words, and then or different words and things to communicate. Then they found out that they could actually uh, think about speech and try to speak. They had to try to speak. So if they're trying to speak, the system would pick that up, and then using algorithms and all, it would predict what they were going to say, and then the person could say, yeah, that's what I was trying to say, or no, that's not. And it's continually getting better and better. um, what the reason this article was fascinating is because when people try to speak, for the computer to pick up the patterns, it can be fatiguing for them because they're not used to speaking. So they're trying to make sounds, and they're trying to move and it's picking up those motor the signals from the motor cortices of them trying to talk. So their thought was, what if they use self-talk, just internal speech, and just thought about what they would say without actually trying to say it? And they found out that the brain uses the same systems when they're thinking about what they should say that it does when they actually try to say something or when they hear somebody else speak. So, anyway, it's a long way to say they were able to predict what somebody was thinking with 74% accuracy,
Hmm.
which is pretty
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah. So let me go back. I don't want to belabor this too much, but for speech specifically, right? Like it starts in the brain,
Mm-hmm.
and then goes through some process where that information goes down to my vocal cords. They vibrate a certain way, and sound comes out of my mouth. Is
Yes.
that too simplified, or is that
No, that's a good way to say it. And the place that it starts, so you have a thought of what you want to say, and then the motor
mhm,
cortices, so the motor cortex that runs on both hemispheres, that little band right here, is the one that sends the signals to the vocal cord to move in certain ways for you to
mhm.
generate speech. So they're recording from here, the place that sends the signal to tell the mouth and throat what to do.
That's where I was trying to get to? Right? Is the message how at some point that message that leaves the brain and goes down, if that could be not intercepted, but if along that path you can get the message, it's essentially the same. Maybe not the same, but it's essentially the same as the sound that would come out of your mouth.
Yeah, except that, I mean, that's true. But then think about the signals are basically, when the brain sends signals along a pathway, it's it's excitatory or inhibitory, and so then then you have to measure it by the number of pulses it sends. If it's a few or many, that's really what the signal is. So it's trying to interpret these pulses almost like almost like when you're sending a signal over the wire, like in the old
Yeah,
westerns,
yeah,
telegraph or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
A telegraph.
it's kind of like that. It's more complicated, but it's similar to that. And they have a
Hmm.
system that they implant these electrodes, this little chip with electrodes in the brain, and it picks those up and interprets them with fairly good accuracy. And now they're saying it interprets them, and that's when you're trying to create the speech. But they found out when you're using self-talk or a internal dialogue, so it's covert talk. You're not trying to say it out loud, but you're thinking it. That when you think it, your brain uses your motor cortex to help you think through those words, to create those words in your mind for you to think about it.
Oh, I have so many questions, and I have another question that's going to take a long time for you to help me with, but I'll just try to keep it to 2 questions about this then.
Okay.
The first being, you and I have talked about, I don't know that we've talked about it on this show, and maybe it deserves an episode, but I have a thought, I have an impulse, let's say, to say something.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing is something I probably shouldn't say. In other words, maybe I'm in a heightened emotional state, like in the middle of an argument with someone, or stress. So for some reason, my brain says, say this. Mm-hmm. And so that message does kind of start down that path. Mm-hmm. And then, and it's when you said inhibitory, somewhere along the way, if my on channel is doing its job, it goes, don't say that.
Don't say that.
Don't do that. And then there's another direction we could go about whether if that works or not and what happens. But what I'm, again, there's this initial urge or message that's sent to go, say this. And that thing is going to make my life a little bit more difficult. Right. Whether it's an argument with my wife or I'm at work and stress is high and I'm going to say this thing, but somewhere there's another message sent that is, don't do that. Is that fair to, and somewhat accurate description from a garage scientist?
Yeah, no, it is. But I think that initial response to say this, it goes through your mind. That's the motor cortex preparing you, and it kind of says it for you to then vocalize it. The stop part may not be words like, maybe I shouldn't say that, because it's just like, don't, like, you stop yourself and then you think through, wow, if I would have said that, that would have been bad. That's still that internal dialogue going on. Right. So, but the fact that you started to say something means your motor cortex had run through its little practice to get ready to go for you to say it. It doesn't always have a practice. Sometimes you just
blurt
things out. Yeah.
Yeah. This fits perfectly into my question. I wish that the audience could be behind the scenes and see this to believe this. But what I wanted to ask you about is, okay, so let me set this up. But I apologize for the lengthy intro, but we were watching a new show on TV last night. So the show's called The Paper, and it's on NBC. And what led me to want to try it out, to want to look at it, is it's from the creators of The Office. And I really enjoy The Office. We quote in my house, my kids, my in-laws, we quote The Office all the time. And a lot of times we'll just have it on in the background while we're doing other things. The Office is very popular in this house. Yeah. And so it led us to try this show. We only watched one episode of The Paper on Peacock, but it got me thinking, what is it about The Office? It's a funny show. It's well written. I like the premise of a documentary film crew, all that stuff. But here's what hit me and what I wanted to ask you about, again, about Sean's brain. And that is, what I love about The Office is Michael Scott.
Yeah.
And so, I'm on this journey of trying to improve myself, self-discovery. And when I find things like this that bother me, and sometimes I'm overthinking it, but why I like Michael Scott is it's exactly what you just talked about. He blurts these things out, says inappropriate things. He does these things and it makes me laugh, but it's really about, he makes things awkward with everybody. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and why, and it makes me laugh. I enjoy, and this is where I went, ooh, is something wrong with me? I think it's funny when Michael Scott says these things puts people in these situations where it's really awkward.
Yeah, no,
And
a
what is
lot
wrong
of
with
people
me?
must think
Why do I think that's funny?
a lot of people must think that's funny because that's a hugely popular show.
Now that's a good point.
I
Yeah.
love that show. I agree with you, and the awkwardness is, I think, what I like about it. And also, before I get to the question, I watched one episode of the paper just to
What did
see,
you think
because
of it?
I think I'm going to need a few more episodes, but
I
I think it's laying the groundwork to be really good. But my first thought was the man, I don't remember names. Even people I've met, I don't remember their names. So I really don't remember the name from a show I watched once a few days ago. But it's the female that spills her salad, and she's kind of.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was going, oh, that's the new Jim, because she's like catches
She
on to everybody else's. Everybody else is acting stupid, and she catches on, looks at the camera like, I can't believe I'm working with these people, type thing.
I
And
am
so,
dead, John. I had the exact same thought.
did you? I
I
said, it's
said
Jim.
she's Jim,
That's
and I'll tell you another thing because I felt the same way that you did. I'm going to need a couple episodes, but here's the problem. This is a double edged sword. They got me to watch the show by saying brought to you from the. This is brought to you by the people who made The Office. That
mhm.
made me want to watch it, but I also went into it kind of expecting The Office at a newspaper, and
Mm.
it's not that. So it's good that they got me to watch the show, but I think my expectations were I have to tweak my expectations because I was expecting The Office.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And it's Oscar's still in it.
And
Is
Oscar's great.
is
I
that
love
the only
Oscar.
one? Is that the only
He's the
one
only
that's
one,
okay?
only one.
All right.
And I like the way that they
Well,
explained how the documentary film crew got to Toledo
yeah.
and how Oscar was in it. They did all
hmm
that really well. It was just it just was it
I
was
guess
just
Bob
okay.
Vance was in it for a
Oh
few
yeah, in the very
couple
beginning,
minutes up
yeah,
front. No, but no, I
yeah.
want to watch. I said the same thing, that I would like to watch a couple more episodes. I think I'm going to like it, but it's, yeah, my expectations maybe, and it was a little bit different uh,
Yeah.
than what I expected. But that is also the key to what awkwardness is our expectations of how a social event should play out. So we kind of have this idea of how things should work and our expectations of how it's going to work. And then when it doesn't, for some reason, if there's a mismatch of some kind, then it's that moment. It's almost like when it's you that create an awkward moment, you have this
Hmm.
self-conscious kind of social emotion, like, I just broke a norm, or I just violated a norm, or that didn't turn out like I expected. It's not always because of a choice you made, but you're just involved in it some way. Like somebody goes to high five you when you go to fist bump, and you're like, and you kind of stop, and it's like, that
That has
moment.
happened to me.
They
Yes.
even have an emoji for cringe, because because awkward moments make you cringe.
Hmm. So this wasn't my question because I want to learn more about why I think Michael Scott is funny. But I had read some research um, about social norms and breaking them, and my poor wife, like for so many reasons. But I went through a period and it was mainly there was a mall that we went to. It was a multi-story mall. There was an elevator in the middle, and I would do it at hotels and some stuff like that. But I would get on the elevator, and if there were people on there, and a couple of times even when not, I would get on and I would walk in and face the back wall of the elevator, and I'll tell you,
That is awkward.
and people
Yeah,
would get on, and they would get a little bit like there would be a physical reaction. They would kind of look and be confused and it's not as fun if it's a glass elevator, right? Because
yeah,
that
because then
makes
you're
sense.
just looking. Yeah,
If you're just in an elevator looking at a wall, it freaks people out. It makes
yeah,
the situation very awkward.
it
And
does.
and the way that they respond to that is what I was really just kind of interested in, right? Like how would people deal with this? But
Yeah.
it was, you know what? It's in Minnesota. They did a study about. This is where I read it. The group of college students. did this whole thing about social behavior, like, and they did it on an elevator, and
Mm.
and so they were actually watching people get on the elevator and gauging their reaction to this breaking of social norms. Is when you get on an elevator, you stare at the
Mm-hmm.
door normally, and everyone just stands there and stares at a door.
Yeah.
But when you stare at the back wall, people move away from you
Yeah.
physically. People
I
move
would
away
think
from you,
so. I probably would too. Yeah.
right? And do those things. So back to make, that was an intentional making
Mm-hmm.
it awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you I think double down and you make it it's unintentional. You do something and make it awkward, and all of the stuff that you have going on. Let me go back to Michael Scott. He doesn't appear to have that.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't recognize that he's awkward like everybody else does. It's other people that
Right.
recognize it, and he doesn't get it. Yeah.
And so leading to him making these insensitive comments in public, saying, the famous one is "that's what she said," which,
Yeah.
whether even people who think it's lowbrow or whatever, they still either laugh at it or will make that comment
Yes.
inappropriately.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I enjoy watching this play out, and it makes me laugh, and that's what back to my original question. It made me feel kind of like, is there something wrong with me that I like to see people in awkward situations?
No, I don't think. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. I had a really awkward moment once. I wasn't trying to though, like you on the elevator. I had just met a person, and it was like a professional relationship connection, and we were talking about some research and some potential research. I didn't know them until this. I'd heard of them. We met. We had like 3 phone calls right away in like 2 days, and they lasted like 45 minutes or so each, just hammering out some details and stuff. And I guess I was becoming really comfortable with them. I don't know, but when I talk to my wife or my kids on the phone, when we hang up, we're like, okay, love you, like love you too, and we hang up. And so this person, we were wrapping up like our 3rd phone call, and I was like, okay. He said, yeah, we'll talk to you. I said, okay. He said, I'll get back to you on that. And I said, okay, love you. And I just kind of stopped right in the middle, and I went, and there's this really kind of 5 or 6 second pause, and I was thinking, I got to say something, because neither one of us hung up, and I thought, I need to say something. He went, I like you too.
Oh
And then that
no.
made it even more. I was wanting to crawl under a rock, and I went, oh yes, sorry about that. And I was starting to explain, and then he laughed really hard and said, I'm just harassing you. He said, no problem. He said, we'll talk later. I said, yeah, talk later. But that didn't help. I mean, it was still like, what am
Yeah.
I doing? Like, I just fell back
Mortifying.
into, yeah, it is very, very awkward at that point. Um,
But can I just ask, like, for whatever reason, you're on the phone, and you have a schema for talking on the phone to a loved one, or and somebody like that, and then somehow kind of it just got crossed up. Maybe you were not paying attention or whatever, but your brain went, we're on the phone with this person, and when you get off the phone, you say you love them.
yeah, I think for me, I don't talk on the phone that much. I
Mm,
really, I don't like talking on the phone,
me
but
either.
I
Yeah.
do talk on the phone. I don't really like it, but I like talking to like I love talking to family members. Like when I get a
Hmm.
hold, talk to my kids or to Casey or whoever. I love that part. Um, and so I don't know if it's just long conversations always end that way. And so
Yeah.
we'd had a really long and kind of intense. I don't want to say intense because it wasn't like emotional about it, but just some deep conversations about research and what certain things might mean and what we should do and how we should design it. And then it was like, I don't know. I think it just fell into that because it was a long conversation. I'd let my guard down. We were just talking, and it just out of habit just popped out. But
So, what was the next conversation like with them?
oh,
Were
it
you?
just
What I mean is, were you dreading talking to them? Were you, what was that like?
No, well, I was like, I mean, I don't think I was dreading it, but I will tell you this: I was very hyper vigilant about what
Mm.
I was saying. I was like, right, I was thinking all the time, like, watch yourself, be careful. I was,
When
so
we say
it didn't
goodbye, it's
happen
just
again.
goodbye. I'll
Yeah,
talk to you soon,
goodbye.
whatever. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think that awkwardness. I think your question was kind of getting back to why does it even exist? Like, why do we have that moment or experience that moment? Why is that something that we experience? And
Yeah.
there, there's some different ideas about it. I always try to look back, like, what benefit does it give us? So is there, evolutionarily, is there a benefit to it? And some people suggest that there is. It's like a social repair event, like where you can, if group norms have been violated,
Hmm.
then cringing or going, that's awkward, or saying, ooh, that was awkward, and kind of letting the group know that that was awkward and cringeworthy helps kind of smooth out the situation maybe. So when people study awkwardness and cringing and those types of things, there are certain behaviors that go along with that, like an awkward laugh or kind of a funny laugh that you give, or looking away, or like averting your gaze, and or shaking your head, going and and sound, you're like and that kind of gritting your teeth in almost a smile but not quite a smile is what the emoji is for
Hmm.
kind of that awkwardness. That's something that all humans do. In fact, there have been studies even looking uh, at the apes, great apes like chimpanzees, will have similar things when social norms are violated. They'll make certain facial expressions and sounds to kind of smooth it over. And so that's kind of like I recognize this was just violated, but while that's kind of universal, the things that trigger awkwardness are not universal. So there are cultural differences in those things.
Hmm.
So some cultures, for example, so it's kind of like an embarrassment. And some cultures are more open and direct in their conversations, and that open and directness, I think, is where a lot of awkwardness can come from. Like Michael Scott will just be really direct or say things that he's thinking that he shouldn't say, and he doesn't catch that he shouldn't say it, and so that's what makes it awkward. So there's cultures that are more open and direct, and they wouldn't feel that the office was that awkward, as awkward as we do. And then there's other cultures that are more that are less like that. They want to they're like really, what am I trying to say? What would be the opposite of being open and direct? They're trying to uh, uh, not appease. What am I
Well,
saying?
here's what's really funny is that they're
Kind of
polite.
polite. Yeah, elevate
They're polite.
politeness. Yeah.
So there's a
Elevate.
difference between being polite and being civil. And
Yes.
to me, again, these are Sean's definitions. Don't take too much, a giant grain of salt. But I feel like being polite is kind of fake. It's
Mm.
very surface level, being
Mm-hmm.
polite. Being
Mm-hmm.
civil is actually being kind to people and meaning it.
Mm-hmm.
But there are, I have a couple of pictures in my mind of people who are very polite,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
But
not
may
real.
not mean it. They just know that
Yeah.
socially they need to be polite.
That's and the other side of that. So as always, you say these things and my brain just starts like exploding, just firing. I think about people on the East Coast. I've heard, and I know some people who are just like, it's just the East Coast in me or whatever, but they're kind of jerks. But they're not. They're really not. I just mean they're very direct.
Mm-hmm.
They're very like, if you do something that bothers them or offends them, they'll tell you straight out,
Yeah.
and then it's over.
Yeah.
And when you said culturally, it's like culturally, the East Coast kind of mentality is, I'm in your face, I tell you how I feel, and then that actually means I like you.
Mm-hmm.
That means I actually care about you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to help you avoid a dangerous or awkward situation by telling you you're an idiot or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I hate to say it, I'm a West Coast guy, but on the West Coast, there's kind of like a lot of polite people who don't really seem to get into any depth. They
Mm-hmm.
just kind of smile and nod and say thank you or whatever. And those are those are drastic generalizations. There's
Mm-hmm.
obviously middle ground for all of that, but Michael Scott is technically an East Coast person who doesn't have that ability
Yeah.
to. So that kind of destroys my point. But
No, because there's always people who don't have a good understanding of social situations. Those are
yeah,
usually the same people also that don't get sarcasm and things like so. It's
yeah,
kind of like reading the room and trying to understand what conversations are and what people are doing. So some people aren't very good at that, and those are the ones that tend not to feel awkward in an awkward situation.
yeah. Which I mean, in some cases, maybe not a superpower, but like that wasn't that great not to like be super embarrassed about saying I love you to someone that you just met on the phone, just to go, oh.
Yeah.
And you know what? Because your spectrum thing really sits with me is that we're
Mm-hmm.
all kind of on these different spectrums, but
Mm-hmm.
I know that we're talking about a fictional character, but there are people in the world that, like Michael Scott, don't even realize they've broken a social norm.
Oh yeah, you know some. I know
I
some.
know some. Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
I'm
And
sure all the
I
listeners
look
do
at them and
too.
just go, how do you not understand what you just did? But they really don't understand, that they should feel some kind of way about breaking a social norm. And I'm saying that to say, on the other end of the spectrum, or somewhere on the spectrum, I also know some people, rare, but who do know that they're breaking a social norm and they like doing it.
Yeah.
They like making people feel uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. Yeah. Yeah. There's people like that too, for attention and for fun yeah.
Yeah, somehow they derive
Like
some enjoyment out of making people feel uncomfortable by intentionally violating social norms.
like facing backwards in an elevator.
Oh, I knew you were going to do that. Uh,
I there's nothing worse than talking about something and have somebody throw it right back in your face like 10
Not,
seconds later.
like saying I love you on the
Yeah.
phone. I know I did that. I know that was payback.
You're going to
But
end the
no,
episode by getting me to say that, aren't you?
I'm going to try. No, no, no. So again, not to defend myself too much, the elevator thing was just based on I read that
No, I
research out of
know.
Minnesota,
Yeah, yeah.
and that they did it, and I was like, that's really fascinating. So I did
Yeah,
it a couple times
and
until I
that's
was told,
oh,
if you
you're
do that
told not
again,
to.
oh yeah, my wife was like, if you do it again, you're going to ride an elevator alone.
Ah,
So
okay.
don't do that again.
So that was kind of the East Coast response.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Very direct.
Because those responses can also you always wonder like why do people keep acting the way that like somebody needs to tell them. I don't know if you've ever my wife and I have had conversations like that. Like why didn't somebody just tell them that they're being a jerk in those situations? It's like, well, who's going to tell them?
Hmm.
If they lived on the East Coast, somebody would,
Yeah.
which would be
And
good.
honestly, most of the people I've encountered who, there was a time where a guy, was yelling at me about the way I was driving. If you're not used to driving on the East Coast, right? Like it's different,
It's very
specifically in New
different.
York.
Yeah.
And and I had the opportunity, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, to get yelled at by the guy, and then later actually be able to understand what his point was. He was using some, very harsh language at me, F an idiot or whatever, and all
Mm-hmm.
this stuff. And then later was like, no, I didn't want you to go down that way because it was dangerous and this could happen to you. So very direct and very like kind of insulting,
Yeah.
but done from a place of actually caring about another human being. That's
Was
my
he in the
point.
car with you?
No, he
Oh,
was
oh,
not.
okay. I
This
was
was an
gonna say,
interaction at an intersection that, just one of
okay,
those things where
okay.
I
You wanted to
maybe I
know
didn't
why
want to.
he was so upset.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Why would you talk to somebody like that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then when you actually kind of get down below the surface level, I believed that the intent was yeah, I called you those names and swore at you and did all those things, but it's because I didn't want you to do a thing that I thought was going to be bad for you.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, well,
Is
that is interesting.
is that the East
That's
Coast
okay.
version of tough love? Maybe.
I think that's what they call it. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So let me circle back if I can, because
Mhm,
you kind of answered it, about why we're even awkward, why this thing even exists in,
mhm,
because we are social animals,
mhm,
and you did a very good job. That's what got me to the East Coast thing, but about different cultures.
mhm.
There's violation of norms and not in all these different cultures.
Yeah.
But as human beings, we do have this barometer, this meter to go, hey, this is not how we act in this group of people.
Mhm.
And when that gets violated, you were saying, I'm trying to remember the word that, or the phrase that you used, but um, cringing
Mhm.
kind of gets us back to center when a violation has occurred,
Yeah. Yeah. So
right?
and
So
mhm.
go ahead.
Well, I'm just so were you talking about like this self-conscious emotion, social emotion is what you feel when you violated it, which when you violated a rule, a social norm.
Yes.
Yeah. So that would be cringing, but yeah, the behaviors that surround that.
Well, yeah, let me be a little bit more clear on what I'm trying to get to is like, we are in a particular social situation in a culture, and I unintentionally, I didn't even realize it, but I violate a social norm.
Mhm.
I make it awkward.
Mhm.
And then you, who are standing, near me, kind of go, you make that
Mhm.
face. Ooh,
Mhm.
the cringe face.
Mhm.
That causes a reaction in me where I'm like, what?
What did I just
Why?
do? Yeah.
What did I just do?
Mhm.
And then you're like, hey, you said, or whatever the thing is. And then now I'm all up in my feelings about, I'm embarrassed. Because we're in a group of people.
Mhm.
And so that whole interaction you're saying is for, say that part again for me.
Like social repair, social like
Social repair.
to yeah, to clear up a violation of some sort so that and even some people say it reduces like tension and conflict as well.
Hmm.
Cringe faces like be given an awkward signal of some kind, like that kind of like reduces the need for tension and conflict, because then you go, oh yeah, I get it, so you don't need to confront me right now because I get it. Or if it's a group and the person doesn't get it but other people in the group get it, then at least the person that it was the kind of the violation was towards understands, well, everybody else understands it, this idiot doesn't, but I'm okay with that because the rest of the people do,
Okay.
type of thing. I think
Yeah.
that's where, so that's the idea, is that that's what helps. And even in, like I mentioned, non-human
Mm.
animals like
Yeah. Let's go
chimps,
back to that too. Yeah.
they'll do the same thing. They'll make this symbol or gesture or sign that kind of dispels all the tension. Like there can be a violation of a norm, and everybody bristles, the other chimps bristle for a minute, and then they give the face like, yeah, sorry, my bad, and then the chimps relax again, like, okay, there's no need to go any further because they understand they violated a norm, so
And
without having to
further would
say, yeah.
be in that, in chimps.
Hmm.
I mean, that could lead to a physical
Yeah, yeah, it usually
outcome.
does. Hmm.
Yeah. And
Physical consequences.
not so much for humans, but that's why I wanted to go back to chimps. Is if that happens, there's no cringe face, there's no acknowledgement. That could end up being a violent scenario.
Yes, yeah, it usually would, if
Okay.
there's, yeah.
So instead, this is really, boy, this part right here is what's really got my neurons firing here. Take it to the chimps, and some kind of social norm has been broken, and another chimp makes the face or makes a gesture, and that actually reduces the tension, which could also, or does, reduce the likelihood of a physical, like a fight
Mm-hmm.
between chimps.
Yes, because there's again a social structure that they all live within
Mm-hmm.
and live by, just like humans do the same thing. And when that structure is challenged or norms are violated, they want to restore order, restore structure. And chimps, a lot of time, that becomes a physical confrontation.
Mm-hmm.
Where humans, it does sometimes.
Sometimes,
And then
yeah.
sometimes it's a verbal confrontation. Or sometimes it's like, fine, you just cut somebody off and I'll never have anything to do with you again. So it's like, ostracizing. So
Mm-hmm.
there are consequences, whether it's, there's a whole list of consequences you could face for violating norms, but cringing and saying, oh, that was awkward, means I realize I violated it. So it kind of gives you a pass for people to go, okay, I don't need to be as upset. They realize what they did was stupid. We can move on.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
And
guess it's a
that's,
way to, I guess that thinking of it that way, cringing, acknowledging awkwardness is a way to repair the social structure. Yeah.
yeah, because I was just going to say, going back to like being polite
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Now we're in that social setting. I violate a social norm of the group, and no one says anything.
Mm-hmm.
And again, not, chimps are different. I'm not saying a fist fight's going to break out at our barbecue, but but again, I say or do something stupid, violate social norm. Not
Mm-hmm.
stupid, but violate a social norm, and everyone just kind of goes and looks away or doesn't say
Mm-hmm.
anything. We divert the conversation to something else, whatever it is. My social standing actually is more in peril
Mm-hmm.
in that regard than someone going, "Ooh, hey, you you can't say that, or you shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
say that, or whatever." That scenario actually will repair that social fracture quicker, or
Mm-hmm.
even at all, as opposed to, again, what sometimes happens at, no one says anything, whatever, but then people talk behind my back, or they're
Mm-hmm.
texting, can you believe he said that? That, might lead to me being cut out of the group. I don't get invited to barbecues anymore,
Mm-hmm.
or just people, again, talk about me behind my back, or all of those things. This is fascinating to me. I just wanted to hear about Michael Scott, but now, no, I mean, you've made me think about this and my responsibility in a group,
Mm-hmm.
and and what it means for me to, or for the whole group to just turn away from this awkward moment,
Mm-hmm.
or we might be wired to address this.
So let's say I'm in a really polite group of people and
Yeah.
I violate a social norm. I say something and maybe I'm trying to make myself look better. Maybe I misspoke. Like a person could even misspeak and not, like they could use a different word than and not even realize they used
Hmm.
that different word. Like
Yeah.
they could say something, they didn't realize what they said, and everybody hears it the way they actually said it, the unintended
Hmm.
way, and then they keep going. But those people, I mean, everybody in that group will always remember that, and then later, like it could be 3 years later, they'll say something about John. This, I say, oh yeah, I remember John, and the first thing they think of is what I said in that situation, even if I didn't mean to say it because it wasn't corrected, because I didn't know I said
Right.
anything wrong, and
Yep.
nobody tried to cringe or say, "Ooh, that's awkward." It's just like, and so it would be better if somebody go, and I would go, "Wait, what did I just say?" And then "Oh no, I misspoke. What I meant to say." People will still remember that, but they'll remember it as a funny event
Yeah.
and they'll
Yeah.
laugh. But otherwise, they'll remember it and hold it against you. It's like, yeah, that kind of the ostracizing and, oh yeah, that don't hang around John. That guy's a jerk. Wow, just trust me, he is, type of thing, because that's what
Yeah.
you always remember. And then it spreads to other people outside that group, but kind of know you. It gets, the circle gets larger and larger.
Yeah, but I was going to say, even if we're going down the route of it doesn't get addressed, even 3 years later, if I don't remember exactly what you said, I remember the feeling. I remember I don't like that guy. And and if you pressed me on it, I'd be like, I don't know. There was this thing. We were at this thing, and I don't remember. I just know
he said something really inappropriate. I can't remember what it was, but he
not
said,
a
and
good
then
dude.
that also opens up everybody else's, old Madge can be thinking of all kinds of inappropriate things I might have said.
Yes.
Yeah. So then they're tying in their assumptions to that.
But think about it this way then, going back to the same situation. You said the thing, and someone goes, hey, I don't know why you said that word or, the thing. And you go, that's not what I said. And we're all like, yeah, it is. You're like, no, no, I meant to say
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah, blah. And I believe that most of the people standing around there have probably done something similar, right? I've used the wrong word.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this word when I meant that word. And we all collectively, but individually kind of go, in my head, I go, I've done that. I've done that.
Yeah.
But we gave you a chance
Mm-hmm.
to address this social violation. And what you said not only made sense, made us all kind of empathize with, we've all done that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we move on. Like that's the social mending part, where now John, 3 years later, we're still hanging out and John's a good dude, as opposed to the other option we went through first.
Well, and I threw the caveat in there that maybe I didn't mean to say it, but let's say I did know what I said. I just didn't know that there was something wrong with what I said.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And then
okay.
the people go, somebody goes, and you go, wait, what did you do that for? And they're, oh, never mind. No, what? Did I say something? And then everybody's kind of feeling awkward. So that's even a more awkward moment. But if you would say, what did I say did I say something offensive? That, well, you mentioned da-da-da. What would, and then they say, because of this, or this, you can go, oh, then that gives you a chance also to say, I have never thought of it that way. I've never looked at it in that way, and I've never thought of it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, I shouldn't have said that. I'm not going to say that again. Then the whole group is like, oh, good. Now you're, it gives you a chance. And this is also, so there's a lot of social intelligence here as well. But if you say that and somebody says, yeah, because the group, you say, well, that's okay, because I can do that, because I can say, and you double down.
Yeah.
That makes it that much worse. But
yeah,
you
but
have
we
an
give
opportunity.
you, socially, we give you a chance.
Give you a chance, yep.
To rectify, or like you said, double down. And then I can go, yeah, I don't really like that dude.
Yeah.
Well, why not? Well, he said something. I don't remember what he said. We brought it up and he doubled down on it. He was like, no, I can say that.
But now you have a better reason of why you don't like somebody.
That's my point. Yeah.
Then if you just kind of let
it
it go by and you're polite and you let it go by, then you can always wonder, why would they say it? Did they mean that type of thing?
Yeah.
So I agree. I never thought of it till our conversation now, but you're actually doing people a favor by pointing out when they're awkward. Unless it's Michael Scott, you don't need to point out to Michael Scott every time he's awkward, because it's all the time. Yeah.
You wouldn't have time for anything else.
No, you wouldn't.
But again, I don't know that I've ever thought about this topic at this level, to this depth of, because I've heard you say it. I know that we're communal creatures, like we're tribal people, but now we're digging into this, like the minutia of what it means to be in a group of people, and what my responsibility is to this group, what individually, what our responsibility is. We could actually lose a member of the group for not the right reason, that we didn't act in a certain way. And then we all just ostracize this person for this one social violation. And I love the second one you said, where somebody brings it up. Hey, that's really not appropriate to say. Here's why, or here's whatever. And you go, nah, that's nonsense. Y'all are way too sensitive about words or what. And we all go, oh, okay.
Now we know.
John's out of the group, and we can all feel somewhat better about that
Mm-hmm.
than the not addressing it part, right? There's so much,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
so many layers to
Yeah, and
this
some
for
people are
me.
really good uh, at creating those moments where they, like, if somebody says something inappropriate, to like the cringe, and then to say, "Oh, you were meaning da da da," right? I mean, they kind of give a way out and give the person an opportunity to see you said something wrong and here's a way to correct it. Some people are good at that, and that's always good to have those people around. And some people aren't, but I think addressing it is the most helpful thing to do in some way, even if it's just to go like, buddy, and just stop, just kind of like that. Even that, you don't even have to say, hey, what you just said was inappropriate, because it could just be like, kind of thing, and then people will catch on to that usually.
Yeah,
Or
not that I
if you
want
don't laugh or you don't join in.
to,
Yeah.
not that I want to lay rules down, but I have been in these situations at times, because you just said there's some people that are good at addressing this,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe, and so I don't know. I'm more asking your opinion, but when you say something that violates the norm of the group, and I go, you can't say that, or I make the cringe face, and they go, what? And I go, you can't say that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that that is the best way to open this conversation, because you're immediately putting them on the defensive
Mm-hmm. Which will
by telling
make them
them what
more
they can,
likely to double down.
more likely to double down on it.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to responsibility is like, I do want to address the social violation to try to mend this
Mm-hmm.
thing that happened in the group. But now the next layer of discussion is, how do you address that awkward moment?
Mm-hmm.
Because there are
And
some people that are just naturally funny, and
mm-hmm.
I've just found that they could just break this ice, like this
Yeah,
tension,
so easily.
really
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're also, we're still talking about awkwardness, but this is a little bit different than saying I love you before you hang up, or trying to give a high five when somebody's fist bumping. That's at a different level than we're talking about now. Now we're talking about where somebody really violates a social norm, like
Yeah, I guess
one
I
that,
did take it a different
no,
direction from
I
my
might have.
initial.
I might have too, but I think it's important to go that direction as well, to
Yeah.
say what you can do with groups, to help with groups. Um, but and I don't know if there's I don't know of really any studies around that. I think studies around that would be like how to address uh, bias talk, like people saying things that are biased, or
That's
racist
mainly
or
what I'm
whatever.
going to, is
Hmm.
racist or biased
Hmm.
talk.
Yeah,
Um,
then that makes it awkward for everybody. It's like, oh
yeah,
man, I don't want.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot more of the studies have been about the more benign awkwardness, where it's like singing karaoke can be one of those cringe moments. Like when you watch somebody, do you ever like watch somebody sing and then you're embarrassed for them? You're wanting them just to it to be over and for them to move on because it seems so embarrassing. Have you ever done that? Is that just me?
No, I feel like I have. I just can't readily recall an instance.
Somebody's
Yeah.
trying to sing and they're really off key, you're just going, oh man, you're just kind of cringing, like, oh, I wish they would finish up and sit down. This is awkward. I just know there's been some research around that where they put people
Yeah.
in fMRIs and measure brain activity while they were watching people sing karaoke, like in
What
a
happens in
bar.
the brain? Yeah, what happens there? What lights up?
So, yeah, so you'll know this one because it's a mismatch between what was expected and what's actually happening. There's an
Okay, the
error
error
there.
detector,
Yeah,
the
the
ACC.
ACC, error detector. And then the insula also becomes active. And that's a part of the brain that responds, like if you eat rotten food and your stomach hurts, that dull ache, or if you get in trouble and you have to go see the principal and you get that dull ache.
Mm-hmm.
It's that type of response. So that area will light up. The prefrontal cortex will, because you're realizing and recognizing that this is a bad situation. So there's kind of that conscious awareness. So that, yeah, there's a few areas that light up, but and then the motor cortex also becomes active while they're singing. We were talking at the beginning of this about speech, and how the motor cortex starts speech. So it's the motor cortex creates the song, the vocal. I mean, you singing sends the signals down to, move your mouth in a certain shape and your vocal cords to vibrate and your tongue to move just right where you are singing songs and tunes. So watching that, your motor cord, because of the mirror neuron system, most of it's a lot of the system is in the motor cortex and premotor cortex. It responds to that because you're kind of getting that feeling of, this is cringy, and I'm feeling it too. That's why you feel kind of like cringy for them because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So there, several areas like that light up where you're wanting them just, please just sit down. Or it doesn't have to be singing. If somebody's talking like in public, speaking in public,
oh yes,
and they're saying the wrong things and they're trying to be funny and they're not, and you're going, just please wrap up what you're saying. And this is so awkward for everybody.
You have mid-level management, and I call a meeting.
Yeah.
And so my boss can come and speak to the group.
Mm-hmm.
And the boss gets up in front of the group, and it's not going the way that I want it to go. It's not going the way they want it to go. And it just keeps going. Right. And I'm just sitting there like, please stop, please. And I'll even tell you, like, the urge for me to interrupt, but that's my boss. I don't want to interrupt
It's really
them.
strong. Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I'm sitting here right now going through all of the physical and emotional feelings of like, I start getting a little sweaty. My stomach hurts. I'm just like, please let this end.
That's so true. Have you
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish up.
No. I was going to say, and now I'm thinking about my brain. There are areas of my brain that are actually lighting up.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought about, that part before of like all the different areas that are reacting in my brain to this scenario.
Yeah. It's feeling the awkwardness too. Have you seen the rehearsal?
Oh yes,
Nathan Fielder.
Yes,
he's a pilot.
How did I miss this? Nathan Fielder, the whole, and he's not alone. There's another guy who I'm missing right now. What is his name? But he's got a movie out called Friendship or Friends. The whole shtick is awkwardness. Their whole comedy bit is I think you should leave is the other thing he did.
Yeah.
But you know who I'm talking about.
I can see his face.
I apologize to everybody. Yes, him.
Yeah,
and I apologize to my son who introduced me to this guy and he loves. But the point is the whole thing around this is intentionally putting people into awkward situations.
Yes. So Nathan Fielder, I know it's just a shtick, but he does it so well in the rehearsal.
Yeah.
It's just, he'll just stand and he'll just look at people like really funny or real awkward. He'll say something, or, he was talking to this couple, he was sitting between them, and the male person reached around, tapped his wife or something on the shoulder, and Nathan Fielder looked back at him and said, "Why did you just tap her?" Like, it's like he just points stuff out to where, I can't
believe it. We're 51 minutes into this episode and I haven't brought up either one of these guys.
I want to know the name of the other one. Richardson. Something. No, Richard.
Yes. It's something son.
Richardson, maybe.
But my wife cannot watch those shows. Like, my son tried to get us to watch this, and my wife gets so uncomfortable. Yeah. She just can't. She can't watch these shows.
Yeah.
Tim Robinson is the other guy. I want to give a shout out to Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
Who his shtick is even more like he intentionally violates social norms. He makes things awkward, and it makes people. And my wife, the one time she tried to watch it, I'm trying to remember. She got up and started pacing. She couldn't sit still. It was so awkward. She was so uncomfortable that she had a physical reaction
Yeah.
to this comedy.
Yeah. Tim Robinson, if like this level is awkwardness, like where you're going to make it awkward, you're right here. He takes it like to way up here. He's so far over the top awkward on purpose which also makes it really funny. But that's I think there's another part to this. Like Nathan Fielder, I brought him up in the
Yeah.
rehearsal because his awkwardness was more like, what would you say that was more like? That was his was just like awkward silences or asking people blunt questions.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of that directness, there's a flip side of this. The research also shows that people who are direct and awkward are also more trustworthy. So people tend to trust what somebody, so like you would trust what Nathan Fielder said if he told you something more than, I don't know, name another comedian, like, whoever, Dave Chappelle or whatever, just a different one. You would trust him more because
Nate Bargatze.
there
Nate
you go.
Bargatze's a
Nate
sweet man,
Bargatze,
but I
yes.
don't trust him as far as I
Yeah.
can throw him.
Yeah, that's right. But then Nathan Fielder seems more trustworthy because he's just awkward and direct, and you would think, well, he's not going to scheme against me because he can't scheme. He's just so direct and just says what's on his mind, and he doesn't mind the silence. And yeah, I think
Both of those guys, I missed both of them this whole show. I'm glad you got me to them at the end here. That because again, I think they're funny.
yeah,
I watched the rehearsal. The trivia team won. There was a woman who wanted to adopt a baby. I don't know if you saw that one. That one was really, that's the one that
was
my
that
wife
Nathan
couldn't.
for you or something?
That was the rehearsal. I'm pretty sure that was a rehearsal.
Oh, okay.
And he was going to have her. He rehearsed her having a child before. I want to make sure
Is
I'm
that
saying
when he
this
went
right.
back to Sully and wanted to be a child like Sully? He became a baby, or are we talking about something different?
Something else. He goes to out to Oregon, um, and meets this woman. It's a really awkward. It's a really hard
Man,
episode.
I just watched this like 2 or 3 months ago. I can't believe I've already forgotten that part.
Um,
I did watch
and
the
now
episode.
I'm looking because I don't know if this is the one, and I may be really wrong about this. There's Sully's. The pilot's code is the one you were talking about. But anyway,
Yeah.
they're all awkward, and people love them. A lot of people watch them.
Yeah. No,
and
it's
find
great.
them funny.
Mm-hmm. I can't believe he became a pilot for that movie. I hope it didn't spoil anything, but
Spoiler alert.
yeah, people should watch that. That's a great show to watch. I have a cousin who's a pilot, so I told him to watch it. And he does a really good take on he covers it really well. It's really interesting. But anyway,
well, he has a really good take on a lot of these things. It's just his, the addition of, he has, I think, a really good premise. He has a good take. But what you already said was he speaks out of cadence sometimes. He makes just maintains eye contact longer than you should. Go down the list of violating accepted social norms. He intentionally breaks them, and it brings me joy. I think it's funny, and that's what's bothering me. Now, it was bothering me before this episode. You have cleared up so many.
There's a really good purpose
things.
for it.
Yes,
there's a really good purpose for awkwardness and cringeworthiness, and it's not like if you're an awkward person, you're not listed in the DSM manual of some kind of disorder. That's not a disorder. That's, in fact, if you're awkward, people see you as trustworthy usually. So
that's what I took too. Yeah.
It's okay to be awkward and cringeworthy as long as you realize it and you're repairing the social fabric as you go.
Well, and again, though, what I, of all the things I take out of these episodes with you, is it really forced me to think about my responsibility in social situations with people that I'm I think I've talked about this before, where I spend my energy
Mm-hmm.
and those concentric rings. And in those
Mm-hmm.
first two rings, I think that I probably, I didn't think about it in the depth that we did today, what my responsibility is to the group
Mm-hmm.
when awkward situations happen.
Yeah, I like what you said there, to the group. So it's a group of people that you care about, then I think you have a responsibility for them. If you're in a public setting, you don't know a person, they're awkward, just you kind of walk on, and there's no need to
Yeah,
stop and try to confront that person probably, but I
right.
wouldn't. But
Again, it's where I'm going to put my energy, and this counts as
yeah,
energy.
yeah,
And it's
no,
not
you're
that I
right.
don't care about other human beings who I see on the street. I'm just more focused on that, the first two rings of my concentric
Mm-hmm.
groups.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, sometimes the third ring, but my responsibility to those groups is, and I love that you gave me the out. All I have to really do is make the cringe face.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even have to do much more than that.
No.
But I have to do something, and to polite my way through these situations could actually damage the group in some cases.
Yeah, and also you probably like, I have I have a friend that I don't want them to be around certain groups because I know how kind of, and it's more than just awkward, they're kind of crass, and I don't know, just
Mm,
like, yeah, I'm not gonna introduce you into this circle, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And so there's also kind of that part of the awareness to know what person would fit in certain groups. And because then that looks, but if you bring somebody into a group that, so that was on the movie you're talking about with Tim Robinson, right? The where uh
I
who's
think you should
who's
leave.
Ant-Man,
Oh, no, that's the movie.
the
Yeah,
movie?
that's correct. So with Robinson and oh no,
Why can't I think of his name?
Paul Rudd.
Paul
Sorry,
Rudd.
Paul. Paul, that
Yeah.
took me way too long to think of.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Paul, I know you're
But yeah,
listening.
Paul Rudd and Tim Robinson. Oh no,
Yeah,
Paul Rudd's a huge fan of the show, John. He's
he
learning a
is.
lot about
I
his brain.
know. I think so. I believe that. And he brought Tim Robinson's
Tim Robinson.
character into his group, and they're all like, and they shunned him again from the group. So that, yeah.
Yes.
So you got to be careful who you bring into the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez. Guess what I'm going to say to you right now?
You can't believe where the time's gone.
It's an hour and 2 minutes right now,
Is it really?
and I
Okay.
feel yeah, and I feel like I just got we just dipped our toe into the water of social constructs here. But
Yeah, that
hey,
was
you
good.
you more than answered my question about why I love Michael Scott, so I thank you for that. Uh,
Glad I could help.
Oh boy, yeah. Hey, for everybody listening, I don't know if this is going to work or not. I'm doing this on the spot, but uh, I've mentioned our socials before. Whether John Brain underscore Dude, John teaches Sean on TikTok, on Blue Sky, or if you want to leave a comment on this episode or on our YouTube episode somewhere. I would love to hear from our 18 subscribers or whatever it is, or even tell your friend to leave a comment. But I would love to hear about your awkward moments. So, did you have an awkward moment with a friend, with a group, with a stranger? Did you try to high five and they fist bump? Like, uh, I'm throwing it out there. You don't have to, be too specific, but I would love to read some of your awkward moments. John shared one
Yeah.
of his. I shared a couple of mine. Um, and let's see if anybody's willing to jump on and share awkward moments on our socials. Outside of that, my weekly ask, is like, subscribe, follow the show. If you like this episode, hopefully you do. Tell a friend. If you loved it, tell two. And really, just I'm having a lot of fun. I'm Today is another great example of just how we can have fun, but I can still learn a bunch of stuff. And that's what's really that's what amazes me every week. We have a great conversation, we have a lot of fun, but I come away with it with just so much information. So hopefully that applies to you all as well.
Does to
John,
me. Yeah.
good. Thank you for saying
Thanks,
that.
Sean. Thanks. Love you.
Thank you. And everybody, just take care of yourself, and we'll see you next week.
you, Sean.